My ex-wife dragged me to court over child support, confident she'd score an easy victory. But a DNA test turned her entire plan upside down. I'm a 34-year-old guy who got hit with a lawsuit from my ex-wife, Sarah, demanding child support payments. She thought she had me cornered, but the DNA results shattered her scheme. Let's rewind to 2016 when I met Sarah, then 31, at my best friend Jake's wedding. I was the best man, she was a bridesmaid, and yeah, it felt like a scene from a romantic comedy, but bear with me. Back then, I was in a great spot. I worked as an IT consultant for a healthcare company, keeping their systems running smoothly. I just purchased my first home and was pouring time into my dream project, a 1967 Mustang I'd been restoring with my dad since college. Life was on track. The wedding took place at a luxurious vineyard in Napa, courtesy of Jake's wife's wealthy family. Sarah caught my eye during the rehearsal dinner. She was beautiful, charming, and seemed genuinely interested in my career. Looking back, I should have noticed she was more focused on my income than my job, but those details are easy to miss in the moment. We had a fling after the reception, a classic wedding hookup, but we stayed in contact afterward. She lived an hour away, working as a social media manager for a startup that promised to revolutionize the pet industry. I was impressed by her tech role, but it turned out the company was just a few guys burning through investor money in a shared office space. When the startup collapsed 6 months later, Sarah was devastated. She called me sobbing, saying she'd poured her soul into it, by which she meant posting pet photos online. By then, we were dating, and I offered to let her move into my place while she got back on her feet. My house had space and her lease was expiring. That was my first big mistake. Here's some background on Sarah I wish I'd known earlier. She grew up in a wealthy family, with her father covering all her expenses, private schools, college, a fancy car, the works. When he cut her off at 25, she bounced between startups and influencer gigs, never committing to anything long enough to build a stable career, though she was great at selling herself. When she moved in, she had grand plans to start her own social media consulting business. She'd spend hours creating pitches about her vision and talking about the clients she was supposedly lining up. I believed she was building something legitimate. Meanwhile, my credit card bills kept climbing. The first red flag I ignored was when she used my card for business essentials. Those essentials: a $2,000 laptop because she couldn't run a company on a standard machine, a $500 lighting kit, and $1,000 in outfits for client meetings that never happened. When I questioned her, she turned it around, accusing me of doubting her ambitions and insisting that investing in herself was critical. I fell for it. I was making a solid $120,000, had some savings, and thought I was supporting someone I loved. Plus, when she wasn't draining my wallet, she was fun to be around, road trips, thoughtful notes around the house, even acting interested in my car project. Spoiler, she was faking that too. We got married in 2018, 2 years after meeting. It wasn't an extravagant wedding, but it wasn't cheap either. Sarah insisted on the same vineyard where we met, calling it our story. Her parents, despite their wealth, didn't contribute a cent. My savings took a hit, but I thought it was worth it. The wedding was gorgeous, everyone enjoyed it, and Sarah seemed thrilled. At the reception, my dad, a blue-collar guy who worked 30 years at Ford and fixed cars on the side, pulled me aside. "Did you get a prenup?" he asked. I nodded, thanks to my lawyer friend Mike who'd insisted on it. Dad relaxed a bit but still looked worried. "Someone who loves you for you doesn't need your bank account to prove it," he said. I brushed it off. When you're in love, you think you're immune to warnings. After the wedding, Sarah stopped pretending to care about our finances. It was like the ring gave her permission to go wild. Let me paint the picture of how things fell apart. 3 months after the wedding, I got a raise to $150,000 as a senior consultant. It should have made life easier, but Sarah took it as her signal to pursue her brand full-time. She quit her part-time marketing job without telling me, coming home one day to announce, "I'm free to follow my dreams." Those dreams, turning our home office into her content studio. She spent $5,000 of our savings on cameras, lights, and a tacky pink couch she claimed was perfect for her aesthetic. When I reminded her that money was for a new roof, she said, "This is for our future. Don't you want me working in a space that inspires me?" Then she launched a YouTube channel about luxury living on a budget. Ironic, since she was funding it with my credit card. She'd buy designer items for her videos, return some, but keep others, like $900 shoes she called essential props. Meanwhile, she started complaining about my Mustang cluttering the garage. That car was a 5-year passion project with my dad, nearly ready to drive. But Sarah needed the garage for her wellness space because the guest room wasn't good enough for her yoga videos. One day, I came home to find she'd listed my Mustang for sale online. She hadn't sold it yet, but strangers had stopped by to look at it. Her excuse? "We need the space, and you're too fixated on that old car. Don't you want to support my goals?" That led to our first major fight. I shouted something I'd never done. She cried, called me controlling, and said, "If you loved me, you'd want me to succeed." The next day, she apologized and promised it wouldn't happen again. Foolishly, I believed her. But she waged a quiet war against the car, leaving the garage door open during storms, piling her equipment next to it, accidentally scratching the paint with her yoga props. Eventually, I gave in and sold the Mustang. My dad was crushed but stayed quiet, just giving me a look. The money from the sale? She spent it on a business retreat in Bali, which was really a photo-op trip with other influencers. She came back with plans for a wellness coaching business, buying essential oils, meditation gear, and a website I paid for. She even got business cards: Sarah Mitchell, wellness expert and lifestyle coach. Number of clients? 0. But she racked up $15,000 in debt on skincare products that sat in the garage, where my car used to be, until they expired. When I asked about the expired products, she blamed me for not promoting her business to my colleagues' spouses. By then, I was working 60-hour weeks to cover her spending. I'd come home exhausted to find $200 takeout orders because she was too overwhelmed to cook. The house was a mess. She was too busy creating content to clean. Her YouTube channel, 342 subscribers after a year of effort. She was posting about our perfect life while emptying my accounts, but I couldn't follow her social media because it would mess with her analytics. Red flags everywhere. The breaking point came when she took a $30,000 loan against my 401k without my knowledge, using my password. Yep, my car's model, year, and name. Dumb choice on my part. She spent it on a mentorship from some Instagram guru promising 100,000 followers. When I discovered it, I slept in my office for a week, forwarding calls to my phone and pretending I was testing remote work. I was too embarrassed to tell anyone. My dad's words about credit cards echoed in my mind. I called Mike, my lawyer friend, at 2 a.m. from my office couch. He wasn't surprised, just said, "Send me your schedule, we'll talk tomorrow." Mike's the friend who cleans up your mess without making you feel worse. The next day, I learned Sarah had opened 3 new credit cards in my name, running up $47,000. Her excuse? "I was stressed about us and shopping helps my anxiety." Mike chuckled, not because it was funny, but because she'd made our divorce case airtight. That prenup had a clause about financial misconduct, thanks to Mike. When I told my parents, my mom cried and my dad cleaned engine parts in silence. Then he said, "She won't stop until she crashes or finds a new target. You're the easy mark right now." Filing for divorce was simple. Confronting Sarah was tougher. I'd prepared a speech, but when I got home, she was filming a boss babe video in our kitchen, using $300 worth of organic groceries as props, bought on my card naturally while our fridge was empty. I waited until she finished, then said, "Sarah, I'm filing for divorce." She grabbed her phone, started recording, and said, "Guys, I need to share something authentic." I walked out before I became her next truth video. The next few weeks were chaotic. Sarah tried everything to stop the divorce, showering me with nostalgia, even digging up old Mustang parts to suggest we rebuild another car together. Nope. When that didn't work, she threatened to call me abusive. I wasn't. Ruin my career. My boss knew her too well, and ensure no woman would date me didn't stick. She even launched a social media campaign claiming I'd financially abused her, while I had spreadsheets showing I'd spent $200,000 on her projects. Mike used her own Instagram posts against her, where she bragged about being a self-made entrepreneur. Hard to claim you gave up your career when you're posing as a hash girl boss every day. The divorce finalized in early 2021. Thanks to the prenup and her financial missteps, Sarah got far less than she hoped. Just her camera gear, that pink couch, and a small settlement to wrap it up. In court, she tried one last emotional plea. "You're throwing away the best thing you ever had." I responded, "The best thing I ever had was Mike's prenup." Her expression was priceless. I spent 2021 rebuilding. I got promoted to senior management, started working out again, and bought a 1970 Chevelle to restore with my dad. Life was good. I was dating casually, my credit was recovering, and Sarah was becoming a distant memory. until January 2023 when I came home to a certified letter from the house. My stomach dropped. It was a child support and custody petition claiming I had a 1-year-old son, Aiden James Mitchell, born November 2021, 9 months after our divorce. Sarah claimed we'd hooked up post-divorce, never happened, and that I'd abandoned my son. She demanded $2,800 a month, back pay, and medical coverage. The birth certificate listed me as the father, which I didn't even know was possible. I sat in my driveway, rereading the documents, stunned. I called Mike. He picked up right away and said, "Don't contact her, don't post online, come to my office tomorrow." I couldn't sleep, researching paternity laws at 3 a.m. Mike dropped a bombshell. In our state, if you don't contest paternity within 30 days, you're legally the father by default, DNA or not. Sarah had timed it to catch me off guard, but the timeline didn't add up. If we'd hooked up post-divorce in March 2021, the kid would have been born in December 2021, not November. Mike checked Sarah's Instagram via a burner account and found her clearly not pregnant at a festival in May 2021. Either she had a miracle pregnancy or she was lying. We demanded a DNA test and challenged the birth certificate. Mike hired a private investigator and things got wild. The PI discovered Sarah had lived with a guy named Chris in 2022, who'd paid her $1,500 a month in child support until October 2022. Sarah filed against me in December 2022, right after Chris stopped paying. The PI also found her TikTok, where she posted single mom struggles videos painting me as a deadbeat. Her followers ate it up. Then the PI uncovered a baby registry from 2021 addressed to Sarah and Chris Anderson. Chris' story was the key to unraveling Sarah's scam. We met him at a coffee shop. He was another victim, a 36-year-old software developer who met Sarah at a co-working space in early 2021. She pitched herself as a marketing guru escaping a toxic marriage, claiming her ex, me, had crushed her career. They started dating, and by May, she'd moved into his loft. In June, she claimed she was pregnant. Chris was ecstatic, ready to be a dad. Sarah played the role, yoga classes, bump photos, doctor's visits, where Chris wasn't allowed inside due to restrictions. But she was faking it all, using a silicone belly for photos. The PI found the purchase receipt. In November 2021, Sarah claimed she went to her sister's for a baby shower and gave birth early, returning with Aiden. Chris played dad for a year, paying for everything, even starting a college fund. But Aiden didn't look like him or Sarah. When his nurse mom questioned the timeline, Chris demanded a paternity test. Sarah vanished with Aiden, leaving a note about his lack of trust. He stopped paying, and Sarah turned to me. Chris had proof, texts where Sarah admitted to fake appointments, security footage of her wearing the fake belly, and records of his payments. The PI also learned Sarah's sister had been in Australia since 2020. No baby shower, no birth. Hospital records showed no evidence of Sarah giving birth anywhere in the state. Mike suspected she'd faked the birth certificate and subpoenaed the real records. At the court hearing, Sarah showed up in full, single mom mode, messy bun, fake scrubs with Aiden in tow. Her TikTok lawyer looked nervous, likely realizing the evidence against her. He tried to delay the DNA test, claiming Sarah had spiritual objections. The judge wasn't buying it. Mike presented the lack of hospital records, the fake belly footage, and proof Sarah had claimed both Chris and me as Aiden's father. Her lawyer was visibly rattled. The judge asked Sarah for medical proof of her pregnancy. She started her tearful performance but cracked under pressure, shouting, "This is ridiculous. My home birth was legal." Then Mike dropped the final blow. Police reports from November 2021 about a woman matching Sarah's description posing as a lactation consultant at a hospital maternity ward. The judge's expression hardened. "Miss Mitchell, are you aware that trafficking minors is a federal crime?" Her lawyer quit on the spot and walked out. Mike called Jessica, a young mom who'd given birth at that hospital in November 2021. Sarah, posing as a social worker, had convinced Jessica, who was struggling with postpartum depression, to sign over temporary guardianship of her son. Jessica had been searching for him ever since, recognizing Sarah from her TikTok. The judge ordered DNA tests to confirm Aiden was Jessica's son. Sarah tried to flee with Aiden but was stopped. The DNA results confirmed Aiden was Jessica's. Sarah had stolen a baby and used him to scam Chris and me. She was charged with fraud, identity theft, and custody interference, facing 15 to 20 years in prison. The case was referred to the FBI. Jessica reunited with Aiden and is now advocating for postpartum moms. Chris and I became friends, working on my Chevelle together. My girlfriend, who helped gather trial evidence, loves the car and is applying to law school. Sarah's social media empire crumbled, her followers turned against her, and she's awaiting sentencing. The takeaway: when someone reveals their true nature, don't ignore it. Sarah's schemes were obvious during our marriage, but I made excuses. If I'd trusted my instincts and my dad earlier, I might have spared Chris and Jessica. But justice prevailed, and when karma strikes, it strikes hard.